can't stop someone from targeting you or your organization for fraudulent purposes, but you can prevent yourself from being a victim. Virtually everyone has been targeted by fraudsters for some scam or another, and most of us multiple times. And this is true both personally and professionally. We've got 3 simple questions anyone can use to ferret out 95% or more of these potential frauds and scams. And when I say anyone, I really do mean anyone. And we've got some real life examples to show you how they would work. Question number 1. Does this seem too good to be true? When you're looking at a potential proposition, if you will, if the answer is yes, it probably is. And you should be extremely suspicious, whether it's a celebrity seeking a relationship, a famous person seeking money for an investment or other reasons, or, and this is important, if you have anything to do with your organization's money or data, a high-level executive suddenly requesting you do something like wire money or send confidential information that normally would come through another channel. Take a moment. It's easy to let it go to your head and think that you're special, and believe me, if there's somebody on the other end of this communication impersonating a famous person or a high executive or whatever, they will lead you to believe you're very special. But be cautious. Let me share a few recent stories. The first story involves something you may have heard of, a French woman who started talking to another woman who she believed was Brad Pitt's mother. The scammer then introduced the woman to the supposed Brad Pitt, and without going through all the gory details of the story, she eventually, over time, sent this person over $800,000. While making the story even more heartbreaking, the woman, when she shared this story, became the target of online trolls who were vicious in their condemnation of her. Okay? Now, along the same lines, scammers frequently will misuse images of famous people to promote their less than legitimate offerings. Some recent examples include the image of Martin Lewis, the founder of Money Saving Expert, to promote fake investments, as well as impersonations of Taylor Swift, Dolly Parton, and others. Several years ago, scammers took a legitimate video of the president of Google and used it to scam several YouTube creators. Now, I'm sure most of you know Google owns YouTube. So using the legitimate video made the rest of the email seem legit. But in reality, you and I could have downloaded that video and used it. A Texas woman also was defrauded for over $250,000 by the scammer impersonating Elon Musk. The scammer promised a high return on investments. In this instance, the police were able to apprehend the thief. If you have a LinkedIn profile, a Facebook account, or other social medias, you stand a high chance of being contacted by someone impersonating a famous person. On LinkedIn, for example, I supposedly have been contacted by Michael Bloomberg, the billionaire former mayor of New York City. And by the way, his fake profile included a picture which was of the real Michael Bloomberg, but it was very fuzzy. And of course, questions to ask yourself is, does Michael Bloomberg have a LinkedIn profile? If he did, would he use this fuzzy image? And number 3, would he use LinkedIn to contact somebody? And of course, when you stop and you think about it for an answer, for a moment, the answer is no. Okay, and also a Saudi prince, just so you could have a good laugh at my expense. Bottom line, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Question number 2. If your gut tells you something is not right, the odds are high that your gut is correct. So trust your gut, and at a minimum, do a little bit of additional research and verification. So let me share a recent story. Again, you have heard this, and this involved a $25 million fraud. A gentleman who worked for a company in the UK was sent a text. I think it started with a text, but it may have started with an email. He eventually got on what he believed was a Zoom call with the CFO of his organization, and the CFO gave him wire instructions over this call for several wires, but they totaled $25 million. As this whole thing was going on, something didn't sit right with him. It kind of didn't feel right, trust your gut. But he went ahead and did it because he got several emails afterwards, supposedly from the CFO, urging him to, hurry up and get that wire done. The reason he didn't pick up and call at first was he was in Hong Kong. The CFO was in, I believe, the UK. The time difference made that difficult, but his gut told him something was wrong, and eventually he trusted his gut and he went to the police. Unfortunately, it was after the $25 million was gone. So if your gut says something is wrong, at least investigate and do some verification. Question number three, ask yourself, what's wrong with this picture? So two examples recently that a number of companies actually have been involved in. The first one, and there was a whole slew of these, was emails supposedly from the CEO, but not really, going to either payroll or accounts payable, asking for the W-2 file. Now this seems innocuous enough. This is the file that's generally sent to the IRS with all the tax information for employees. It includes their salary information, obviously, and their social security numbers. And these were not from the CEO. They were from a scammer who took that information. They got tax refunds, and as you can imagine, the problems for the legitimate people whose information now had been stolen were humongous. So what you might want to say to yourself is, what's wrong with this picture? What would our CEO or CFO or who's ever supposedly asking for this information, what would they want with it? And the answer in most cases is they can't get far enough away from it. So there's something wrong with that picture. This scam, by the way, has gotten so out of control that the IRS has issued instructions, best practice instructions, telling people that any time they receive a request for any sort of personnel information, it should be verified before it is sent. Because, think about your CEO. Would he or she want anything to do with this information? No, they delegate it. They have more important things to do. Okay, the next example of this is the gift card scam. And this didn't involve the huge amount of money, but a lot of times it was directed at an individual. And so, a few $1,000s to an individual, that can be a lot of money. And so in this example, the person received an email, again, supposedly from either the CFO or a higher level executive, asking them to go out and buy gift cards because maybe there was a party coming up and the executive wanted to give out the gift cards at the party. Now, to be honest, especially if I was a new employee and I'm trying to impress, I probably would have fallen for the first part of the scam, and I would have gone out and bought the gift cards. Anyway, the person goes out, buys the gift cards, gets back to the office, and then they get another communication, not a phone call, usually an email, but it could be a text saying, did you get the gift cards? And then you check, yes, I have them. And this is the part that should have made somebody stop and say, what is wrong with this picture? The person then says, can you scratch off the silver stuff on the back and give me those numbers? And with those numbers, the criminals can then turn those gift cards into cash. The gift cards become worthless, and of course you're out the money that you paid for. So that's the part, what's wrong with this picture. No matter how good an explanation they give you for this, you want to, again, pick up the phone and call. Okay, so 3 simple questions. Does this seem too good to be true? Is your gut telling you something's wrong? What's wrong with this picture? As you've probably noticed, many of these frauds start with a fraudulent email, one that came from a phony email address that looks remarkably similar to the legitimate one. How good are you at identifying the legitimate email addresses from the fraudulent ones? Find out right now by watching our Can You Spot the Phony Email Address video. You can test yourself. Simply click on the link that has appeared on your YouTube screen and is in the description. Good luck.